So, for many folks, tomorrow is going to be a very important day because tomorrow is Friday. And Friday is typically where most people get paid. And a lot of people are living paycheck to paycheck. So, every Friday is very important and also a miracle that they've made it so far. Made it another week, another 7 days, surviving, struggling to get by, living paycheck to paycheck and trying to balance this seemingly never ending challenge of insanely high cost of living prices, with the only possible real scenario being total collapse and failure, impending doom and demise. Someone told me that they experienced a rent increase or multiple rent increases, and that if their rent were to increase again, they would be unable to afford to pay it. And consequently, their parents, as well as their in-laws, so this woman, her parents, and her husband's parents refused to help financially, despite living in an $800,000 house or houses. Now, apparently, it seems like the parents are doing fine. They're well off. 800 grand. It's not chump change, okay? However, in today's housing market, 800 is pretty much entry level, more or less. And I don't think that it's the responsibility of the parents to support the children, especially at a point in which children are living on their own and paying their own rent. Additionally, a rent increase would ultimately lead to, more than likely, eviction, and not only eviction of the woman and her husband, but also of their pets. And the complaints are rolling in, piling up, of how the parents who live in such expensive homes won't help. But here's the deal. It's not their job. It's not their responsibility. You don't deserve their help. And it's funny when people say they stake claim on what they think that they are owed and what they deserve. And I hate to break it to you, but you don't deserve anything. If you want something, you need to get your ass up, go out there and go get it, okay? So I got a lot of issues with this situation because, yeah, living paycheck to paycheck sucks. But I know people who make a lot of money every paycheck, and they still live paycheck to paycheck. So we're not going to use this broad terminology of living paycheck to paycheck as being in poverty, being poor, being broke. More so being in a position where you need to make a change. And your change needs to be, you either need to make more money with each paycheck, or you need to find ways to spend less. And more than likely do both. Because your parents or your in-laws have homes valued at $800,000, that means nothing. These homes could have been valued at $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 just a few months ago, and with the changes in the housing market, now they're valued at $800,000. It makes no difference, and they owe you nothing. Not to mention, they too may be in somewhat of a financial bind and struggle, and they're just not voicing it and sharing it with you. Let alone if your biggest concern is eviction, but more so managing your pets if evicted. Well, guess what? You probably shouldn't have pets. Pets are not cheap, and they're definitely not free. So if we're making this claim and this argument and complaining about not having any money and blaming it on others who are increasing prices for your rent and other monthly budget expenses, you yourself have made the choice to take on and keep and maintain drains to your income, drains to your savings, drains to your discretionary spending. So what you deserve to do is figure out how you're going to manage this situation and not point fingers and get mad at others who you assume are doing fine, well off, rich, loaded, wealthy, and deserve to give you money? I don't think so. More than likely, they're doing exactly what they should be doing, which is not giving you money, which is not supporting your habit, which is not supplementing your lifestyle, because ultimately that will continue pushing you down the path of never ever actually figuring out and learning how to do this on your own, besides just putting your hand out and telling someone who's done it themselves, who's struggled and pushed through this fight themselves, that they should give you something because what? Because you refuse to get up off your butt and get a better job? Because you refuse to make sacrifices and cuts to your monthly expenses? Because you choose not to find ways of bringing in multiple streams of income or any other variety of the sort that would allow you to free yourself of worrying about a rent increase that could potentially wipe you out? But I digress. Because look, this is one particular person, one particular story, one particular instance, but this is, in essence, what's happening throughout this country. Whereas in other countries, impoverished countries, third world countries, some of these communist and socialist countries, they would never dream of saying such a thing. And in this country, we've done a great job of building up and nurturing this ridiculous ideology that everyone deserves something without actually doing anything. And, we can point to whichever side of the aisle we want to, left, right, up, down, red, blue, black, white, don't matter. If you are of the mindset and are in agreement with and think that all these different things are owed to you just for consuming oxygen, then you are part of the problem. It's not them. I don't fault anyone for having a lot of money, and I don't fault anyone for having very little money. But I'm definitely not going to give any of mine away to anyone who's not doing anything to earn it. So, odds are a lot of folks have probably clicked out of this video before we've gotten to this point, but if you're still watching, then odds are you probably agree with me, or at least you want to agree with me. Or maybe you have been in a situation, in a position where someone has come to you and asked you, or is actually upset with you because you didn't give them money, when you can see their bad habits. You can see where they're wasting money. You can see where they're buying things that they don't need, continuously pouring money into bad habits that are ultimately draining their bank accounts and potentially harming them physically with their health. While every opportunity that exists or is presented to them to improve their situation and increase their income or reduce their spending and expenses and tighten their budget, they run away from, they shy away from, and or they will at least tell you and bring you a laundry list of excuses as to why it can't be done, or at least why they can't do it. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. Now, I also see these being spread about in the comment section. Some of these emails come to me, and I'm actually not convinced that all of these are real. I think some of them are actually fabricated and created with a specific purpose in mind. And this is being done by AI, which is unbelievable to think. But AI is literally capable of making that happen. I can actually show you some instances where AI can create unbelievably realistic thought and opinion in seconds based on what you say or what you do or how you look or how it thinks you feel. So some of these I got to take with a grain of salt and realize that they're not true, and that the underlying agenda and purpose of this is to actually gain access or take advantage of a particular person or situation. I get it. But I also know that there's real people out there that feel this way. And there's real people out there that are also doing all they can to make sure that they never end up in these situations, while others are doing all that they can to make sure that they stay in these situations. Don't expect to get any pity from me here. You can take my words, my videos, my uploads, my content for what it is. Do what it as you may. But at the end of the day, if you get evicted because your rent price went up again, if you go hungry because you don't, have enough money because you've wasted it on things you shouldn't have been buying, if you end up homeless, living in your car or on the street with a pet, then I hate to break it to you, but you need to get your priorities straight. You need to get your head on right, because the situation that we're in is not really going to get any better. And it's not really going to get any worse either, unless you allow it to. Unless you agree with it and just fall victim to that mentality and mindset that they want you to believe that there is no way to improve. Meanwhile, there are people out here buying $1 million homes, buying $1 million cars, buying multi-million dollar yachts, buying expensive luxury items, taking vacations and trips, living life, still investing, still building businesses, building wealth, and they are not crying. They are not complaining. If anything, the only thing that they are voicing concern about is how few people out there are willing to do even a fraction of a percentage of what they've done to get to where they are, which ultimately has an impact and effect on the workforce. But then subsequently, it will have an impact and effect on the consumer base. But at the end of the day, I can tell you guys right now, just from basic observations, they are not going to allow that to prevent them from doing what they ultimately have to do. And that's continue producing, continue profiting. And what it means is, and it's clear, it's very clear, it means that they're going to continue to raise prices across the board, because those folks who can afford it will pay it. And they will all ultimately end up supporting each other as they continuously build and grow. And anyone who's not on that same wavelength, who's not on that same path and trajectory, is ultimately going to fall further down the ladder, closer to the bottom, and more likely to be at risk of complete wipeout, failure, and total economic financial collapse. That's the crash. That's the end. And you will quickly and easily be forgotten as the new world order takes into effect, for lack of better words. Now, I'm not sitting here trying to tell you I got all the answers or pretend to tell you that, I'm going to make you a millionaire, because I'm not. But I will say that sitting on your hands, complaining, crying, whining, woe is me, only focusing on the bad and the potential D-Day that is coming, however long that may be, because it's been decades, centuries since the everyone have proclaimed that it's about to end soon. Well, guess what? It hasn't. And odds are it won't anytime soon either. So in the meantime, you're going to have to either get with it or get lost. I don't know how else to put it.